I'm not rejoicing in Charlie Kirk's death. I don't want violence, and I don't support it. Yes, people say he was a father, a son, a husband, but so were many of the people harmed by the policies he pushed for. And what about everyone else's children? The ones slaughtered in schools while he shrugged that their deaths were a necessary price for the Second Amendment? He called empathy damaging, he cheered when others died, and now I'm told I must extend empathy to him. Charlie Kirk built his career on Christian nationalism, on anti LGBTQ extremism, on anti abortion absolutism, and on spreading election conspiracies. He did not value human life. He wanted women controlled and queer people erased. That's not an opinion, it's an authoritarian ideology. And let's not forget what his movement celebrated. They called George Floyd a scumbag. They insisted Black lives don't matter. They said trans people should be killed. They laughed when Nancy Pelosi's husband was bludgeoned with a hammer. They joked about immigrants being eaten alive at Alligator Alcatraz. They even cheered when Melissa Hortman was murdered. No condemnation, no mourning, no humanity. So let's be honest. The grief that we're watching now isn't about the loss of a human life. It's about the loss of a megaphone. The outrage isn't for Charlie Kirk the man, it's for Charlie Kirk the mouthpiece. They're mourning the silence of his propaganda, not the silence of a person. Because if they truly cared about human life, they would mourn Black lives, trans lives, the children gunned down in schools, but they don't. What shakes them isn't human, it's political. One of their figureheads has fallen, and with him, a slice of their influence. That's the loss they can't stomach. And while they demand my compassion, I'm told to play the bigger person, to accept being called a pedophile, an abomination, a danger, to swallow threats to my rights. I'm expected to weep for someone who spent his life denying compassion to people like me. You can't strip humanity from others and then demand it for yourself. If you want to claim that this isn't just red versus blue, then prove it by mourning the lives you don't agree with the same way you mourn your own. Empathy that only extends to your allies isn't empathy, it's a weapon. And that's the point. This isn't about political opinions. This is about values, about whether human life itself has meaning outside of your politics. I believe it does. I believe children deserve classrooms, not coffins. I believe that freedom shouldn't demand a blood sacrifice as its entry fee, which is why the irony is so savage. Again, Charlie Kirk said some gun deaths were worth it to protect the Second Amendment. In the end, he became the very cost he shrugged off. That's not something to celebrate, but it is a mirror reflecting the cruelty that he defended. And until we stop treating some lives as disposable, the cycle will go on. So let's be clear. Telling the truth about who someone was is not the same as dancing on their grave. It's refusing to lie and make cruelty look respectable. Because if you could watch children's bodies get carried out of schools and still call their deaths a price worth paying, then don't suddenly clutch your pearls when the price finally lands on your own doorstep.